Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back today to another video. We're joined by Tom once again, and we're going to talk about forwards today, who Everton should be looking at in the summer. Wingers, because let's be honest, we haven't got one winger at the football club. Our width is coming from Luca Dean, who has had, a decent season, but not as good to his standards, and Seamus Coleman, who, let's be honest, we've all admitted needs to be replaced. So we're going to talk about wingers, fast, pacey wingers that can beat a man, that can create chances, that can score goals, that can take a bit of pressure off maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. We're going to obviously talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. Moise Kean as well comes into the frame. So yeah, all of that to talk about in today's video. Before we get into it, Tom, I suppose we'll go straight into the obvious here, and that is that Everton are desperate for at least one, probably even two wingers, aren't we? Because we haven't got a natural winger at the football club. Anytime we play with wingers or right-left midfielders, it's always Hammers being there. And let's be honest, that's not his natural position. Iwobi, who we don't know his natural position. Bernard hasn't even been playing. So I'd say, along with right-back, bringing a winger in is probably the next priority, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. We're desperate for goals from wide areas, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Screaming out for it. Unfortunately, this season, Richarlison hasn't really stepped up his game. I mean, everyone's thinking he's underperformed. He hasn't really underperformed. He's just hit what he done last season, really, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit more in the league in terms of goals wise, but overall, he's only scored 3 less than what he did last season.
Yeah. So,
in terms of that, it's not really much of a thing. I mean, the key thing and the struggle that we have is specifically the league. He's only scored 6 goals this year, and last year he scored 13. He set up 3 assists. He's not really a creative winger, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, he's only set up 3 assists this year. I know, in my opinion, assists aren't really a stat that I like to throw out there. I like to look at more expected assists, and I know that's probably a little bit triggering for some people. But
it's right. It's right, because you can throw in 100 crosses into the box that are excellent, and if you've not got the striker scoring them, you're not getting an assist.
Exactly. And the key for me is that if you go and look at a winger who has got a high expected assist rate, but only, say, for example, 3 or 2 assists, then that just shows me that he is creating for the forwards.
Yeah.
The forwards just aren't putting it into the back of the net.
Yeah.
So it's massive for me, and I've had a lot of discussions with other people about this, and a lot of people, in my opinion, I think we need 2 wingers.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think we need a backup centre-half just to play 10 games and come off the bench.
Yeah.
I think where people are asking for this backup centre-forward, winger, you've got that in Richarlison.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Richarlison can play up front, not as what Dom could do, but so you'd have to change the sort of style. That's where he wants to play. He can play on the wing. I think he's not a very creative winger. I don't think he necessarily is a good dribbler and can cut inside from the left. I think I'd rather more see him, and I see his attributes more as a right winger.
Yeah.
So I would like him to start playing more on the right. And plus as well, you've got to remember, in previous season and his work rate's been fantastic off the ball.
Yeah.
He's a very good defensive winger. He's always benefited the fullback. So for me, I think we've got that in Richarlison. I think next year I would like to see, and listen, that's where he has to step up if he wants this and
absolutely.
wants to play up front. Then there you go, and to sort of give Dom and Dom and Richarlison some breathing space and sort of rest. You've got to bring in these wingers. I mean, in terms of who we've got at the club, you've got Josh King, who never gets a game. I think it's bizarre, that transfer.
Yeah.
I think we all know now that was panic.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily on the transfer day I was hearing things that were signing no one. I was hearing people were already going home, and then all of a sudden we're signing Josh King.
Yeah.
It just felt very panicky, and obviously it's proven, hasn't it, that he's no part and probably got no future whatsoever. And it'll be so bizarre if they sign him to another contract.
Yeah.
again, wasteful again in the transfer window. I think they paid a £5 million fee and paid a 6-month contract, which is bizarre, genuinely bizarre. So yeah, there you go. You take King out the way. Who else have we got? We've got Bernard.
Yeah. Who I think will leave in the summer, by the way, because he was so close to leaving in January.
Yeah, he's got to.
Yeah,
he's got to. He's in the Andre Gomez bracket for me. It just hasn't worked out at all, has it? The sort of Bernard thing, when he first come in, I thought, you know what, that's a bit of a smart Marcel Brands style signing that for me. But then it was very naive because his physicality and attributes just doesn't add up to the Premier League.
Yeah.
If you're that size, you've got to be like a Coutinho, like a Podence.
Yeah.
You've got to have that, like a Raheem Sterling, where you've got to have that pace and power to go past. But he hasn't got that.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily got that, and isn't again $100,000 a year player who's just a bit par player.
Yeah.
He's got to go this year. And again, listen, he has got his admirers. Whether that's going to be the rumoured $5 million that we've seen in January again, I couldn't really say. I'd be very, very surprised if Everton get close to $5 million for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gone. There's 2 on the list going. Then you're left with James Rodriguez, who to me is not a winger whatsoever. No. You're not really going to get much going in behind with him. He's a number 10, isn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't got the pace for the wing for a start.
Yeah. I mean, when he first come, I think he was brilliant. I thought he was very creative on that. But the worrying thing for me was, as time went on, I could start noticing that he just never had the legs to get back and help defensively, which ultimately was a Seamus, 32-year-old Seamus Coleman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we've got to find these wingers. I mean, you're going to end up with James Rodriguez, Richarlison, and Alex Iwobi who can play in the wings. Now, when I say that,
scares me so much.
But when I say that, right, a lot of people still think that you need a centre forward. You don't. You need 2 wingers.
Yeah.
You 100% need 2 wingers. Richarlison can play up front. He can negate that. He can negate the backup centre half.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've got Ellis Sims as well. Now, what does me personally, Ellis Sims needs another year in. He's done well. He's done well at Blackpool, but let's be honest, it's Blackpool.
Yeah.
He's not in the Championship doing it. If he was doing it in the Championship, could be a different story. He's done well at Blackpool, so then we've got to go then find the next progression role for Ellis Sims.
Yeah.
So that negates that. You've got Richarlison, who wants to play up front. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the forwards because Everton, like we've said in previous videos and like we're going to say now, Everton have got to find intelligent business now where with limited, I say limited, it's 100 million, but in this day and age it's not really it's not really much, is it? So they've got to go find these players where they're going to improve us, but then they're also going to come in with a fee that you're not sort of screeching at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we, like we say, the key is pace, power, and athleticism. And listen, my main one here, and that I've put on Twitter over the previous thing, just to give like a bit of a preview to people who the sort of thing that I'm looking at. Maybe this lad does stay at this club. Maybe there's but from what I'm understanding, there's sort of more handshakes than actual pen on paper. So, and it's Jack Harrison from who's been played at Leeds.
Yeah,
he's been absolutely terrific this season. He's in a very good system, but that sort of pushes on to attack as well. You've seen Rafinha as well play very well, but I think this lad's been gone so really under the radar. You know, his goal return, his first season in the Premier League has been 8 goals, and like we say, we look at his assists, he's had 6 assists.
Yeah.
I think that's actually more now, seeing as though it was there. Sorry, that hasn't been updated. Sorry, it's 8 assists because I watched them against Burnley, and he got 2 and scored
he
a goal.
got a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, he was magnificent, and that's the sort of profile I want to see Everton go get. I mean, he's probably in the top 5 wingers at the moment in the Premier League, stats wise. Probably a lot. Why scouts probably have got them high. I think a lot of data firms would have Jack Harrison high. The key is here for me is that he's got 1 year left on his Man City contract, and I've already seen reports in the papers that there could be a potential fee agreed with Leeds for 10 to 11 million. I mean, that's
Steal.
one of the, that's bargain deals at the finest, really. And listen, this is what, and you'll probably hear say, oh yeah, why would he leave Leeds and all that? Well, this is where Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti come into it, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, Marcel Bielsa gets all applauded, but I don't think he's got a touch on what Carlo Ancelotti's done in this in football.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Do you know what I mean? He gets lauded every time for his style of play and things like that. That's brilliant. But listen, I know we understand like style of play and all that, but give me trophies all day.
Yeah, that's it.
3-time Champions League winner. I know what he's had, but he's also had to manage them teams. You know what I mean?
Manage those egos, manage those big personalities as well.
100%, and he still holds some sort of, as I say, clout in the modern game, doesn't he? I mean, listen, Jack Harrison could be very ideal, and I mean, this is where I'm saying where you need 2 wingers, and you can start looking for shrewd business. If you bring a Jack Harrison in with their numbers into an Everton team in the league, it becomes very, very easy to go there and say, well, 10 million.
Yeah.
You know, it's so obvious, it's so glaringly obvious, and then so let's just say they did go get Jack Harrison. You're bringing in 8 goals from a winger.
Yeah.
This is what Everton need. Everton just need to start adding numbers. We've got Calvert-Lewin as limited as what people might think he is. He still scored 16 goals this year in the Premier League. He just needs help, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if number 1, Jack Harrison. I think he's very creative. I think he's got the speed. What you need in the Premier League, he's proven. I mean, if Everton can go start stepping on toes, which I think they've got to be. Yeah. I think this thing where like people look and go, oh no way, he'd leave, he'd move away from Leeds. I mean, this is where Everton got to step in and be ruthless and go, no, this is our project. This is where we want to be. This is our stadium in 2 years' time. You could be in Champions League in 3 years. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And when Everton, when a player like that comes up and he's had one very good season in the league, but he's also he's been developed over the course of 2 or 3 years in the Championship and all that, it's a very low risk, high rewards.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the word there, ruthless. Grow a pair of balls. Don't think, oh yeah, he's playing there though, and they'll probably sign him, so we won't go near him. Go. What do you want to play for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton? Do you want to come and play in a side with James Rodriguez, Dominic Calvert-Lewin? What's the worst he can say? No, I'm alright, I'm settled here. Sound, at least we tried. Exactly. I think Everton have done a lot of that over the years, haven't they? Just assumed, oh, he won't come here. He's not going to sign for us, so we won't even go in for him.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems glaringly obvious. Even if Everton went right, there's sort of a bit of a handshake going on with Leeds, with Man City. Why not go in and go, well, if they're going to give you 10, we'll give you 15.
Yeah.
Start ruffling feathers. We're not, you can't just be like stepping on top. You've got to be ruthless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if Jack Harrison I'm not saying Jack Harrison will be world-class superstar. Everton have got to start building squad depth.
Yeah.
Jack Harrison, if for me, could play in Europa League.
Absolutely.
That level, 5th to 6th, that's to his level, in my opinion. And he's 24. The profile, everything, all stems, all ducks in a line.
Yeah.
Crossing, is the way he plays the game. He cuts inside, opens up space for Luka Dean. You can start seeing a partnership developing.
Yeah.
This is what we need. So yeah, Jack Harrison, he can play left and right, by the way.
Yeah.
And he'll bring that pace. Then you're looking again at someone who we've mentioned in previous video where you're asked about like do we want a progressive 10 who can play on the wing? Now, with Everton, I think we've been sounding out left-footed right wingers to cut inside.
Yeah.
He's tried Iwobi there. Iwobi's just not left-footed. Iwobi needs to start going 10 and left, and he needs to be put left side as a backup. Listen, Iwobi could go this summer.
Yeah.
So then you're left with James Rodriguez and Richarlison. I feel like with Iwobi, he gets a lot of stick, but from my point of view, I take it as a pinch of salt what he's doing from a right wing standpoint.
Yeah.
Because I've watched him at Arsenal, and I've watched him at Everton at 10 and on the left side. And I think there is a squad player there.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people aren't going to like that, but you've got to have squad depth. You can't just get rid of 15 players in one instance.
We wish.
It's just impossible.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
completely.
yeah, I mean, there's three that I've really on my list. There's about 4 or 5, but my main ones really, when you've took away Jack Harrison for 10 million, that opens up for Everton to go put a little bit more cash into the right wing place.
Yeah.
Now, where you're saying about a 10 and a right wing, maybe with this lad, I see him as a future 10, but this season he's played as that sort of left-footed right winger cutting inside, which I think we want, because if you do look at a sort of right back who's going to be work rate up and down the pitch like a Luka Dean, you need, like I say, they've got to come inside and lay off things for crosses. That's the sort of style I'm sort of working out with Ancelotti. Absolutely. He wants his fullbacks to be doing the crosses, and he wants his wingers cutting inside, being creative.
Yeah.
Now, the player I've landed on is a young Frenchman, 23 years of age, Ludovic Blas from Nantes. Now, Nantes is my French team. I love Nantes. I love everything about them. Unfortunately, this season they've had a bit of relegation battles, but I seem to love teams who love a relegation and just want to break me heart. So
you're an Evertonian, mate?
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I pick teams in France and things like that who I like to watch you just destroy me.
Yeah.
So they've had it. Listen, they're in a relegation. If you go and watch Liège, there's about eight teams in the relegation zone now. It's going to be really exciting end of the season.
I've seen the graph this morning. It's a bit mad, isn't it? Yeah,
it's crazy, and everyone calls it a farmers league, and Lille are just going to win the league now.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they do the other day, but this lad has got. Now, I don't think necessarily he's going to be a world beater, but I do think he's on that level of the Sevillas and winning Europa League. That type of play, like that type of player where I'd personally see a Sevilla or a Villarreal or like a Lille buy, and I think, oh, that's a good sign, and that.
Yeah.
Like that'd catch me eye thinking, oh, Ludovic Blas going to Sevilla for 15-20 million. I mean, I like that. Now, this lad's an absolute dribble merchant. I mean, he's got the pace. He's got the pace and the ability of a Hatem Ben Arfa. Well, we're seeing a bit of a maverick player.
Yeah.
But with Hatem Ben Arfa, he obviously just never had the sort of attitude that you want from. This lad's got everything. I think you can play him as a 10. He's got the speed and the progressive runs that we want. And the key area for me is that this season he scored for a relegation threatened side 10 goals, and he's set up 5 assists. And now it's not 10 goals as in 10 goals penalties. It's 10 goals non-penalty goals.
Yeah.
Now what I mean by that is that I know a lot of people don't like rate penalties, and I separate penalties to goals. I want to see what players do in open play more than anything.
Yeah.
Listen, if they can put a penalty away, then it's more of a bonus. But yeah, this lad's conversion rate is 15%. Very good for a right winger. His assists aren't really that high. It's 5 assists, but his expected assists is like 3.5, something like that. So it isn't necessarily more of a creative player, which I do think he has a capability, but in this team, I think he's more there to get goals.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's nuts. He tries 6.71 dribbles a game. I mean, that's
unheard of for an Everton player. Put it that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is he only manages to make 50% of the dribbles successful. But when you're trying so high amount of dribbles of that, I mean, I'd be he could be Messi if he was like higher than 60% in my opinion.
Yeah.
But no, I think this lad could be a bit of a shrewd sign. I think again, squad depth. He brings pace. He brings ability on a wide area. Now he can also, in my opinion, he could be then the one to transition away from your Sigurdsson and James Rodriguez, but also giving us something from the right wing.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
In terms of probably valuation, he's probably going to be in that £15 million mark. Now, again, if Everton got the capabilities to go risk that with a Ludovic Blas, if they go get a Jack Harrison, maybe, especially if they keep a Iwobi as well, maybe that could be an area where sort of Everton can exploit, because I think everyone's saying that we need a right winger, you need a player who can play play left wing.
Versatility. That's what we need.
100%. And my opinion, I would switch with Richarlison and try and right wing, and then you can also switch Calvert-Lewin out. Yeah, but Ludovic Blas, very highly rated in my opinion. I think he could be one that goes under the radar and could end up at a Lille, at a Sevilla, and you'd think in 2-3 years' time, you go see him a £30 million player.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even the next few are going to be quite. I've got two young players, and I've got one who's already in the Premier League, and I'll just briefly talk about Matheus Pereira from West Brom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this could be a bit of an obvious sign, really, for Everton. I mean, you're looking at terms of he didn't really do much under Bilic. But in terms of what he's done recently, I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic for West Brom. He is naturally more of he is that small player in terms of what we're talking about with Bernard, but I think he's got that little bit extra gear that Bernard hasn't got.
Yeah.
And plus as well, he's got obviously, 10 goals and 6 assists in the Premier League. I mean, you can't really pull your nose up at something like that, can you?
That's it.
He's at that sort of. Pereira's not sort of, in my opinion, that Anguissa type signing.
But for the wing.
25, straightforward, does a job for Everton for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But he also gives you that sort of protection where you're like, right, we've got him for 2-3 years maybe.
Yeah.
Let's start now negotiating through future where you could go then look at these other players that I'm starting to bring up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now, you spot on there, though, by the way, before we move on about goals. This Everton team needs goals. We need players that can... At the moment, we're relying, and we have relied so heavily this season on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean, 20-plus goals, 16-plus in the Premier League. If it wasn't for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goals this season, Everton would be in a dire situation, because you mentioned Richarlison. He hasn't turned up this season. And look, maybe that's just a one-off, and maybe he'll get his head down and he'll work hard and he'll improve going into next season. But we don't get many goals from midfield. Decore's had a couple, Alan's had none, Gomez none, Davis none, Dean at left-back's had none, Seamus Coleman's had none. So we need to start implementing goals into this Everton team, and if you're buying a winger, for me, first and foremost, mate, it's them scoring and creating, and as well as having pace and athleticism, because that's what we desperately need in this team, isn't it?
Oh no, 100%, and probably people are screaming at the screen saying we need speed. But if you look at it in terms of what speed, what do we just want? Fast players, or do we want players who have got a good cruising speed? Like, for example, Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, they're not lightning quick.
Yeah.
They've got more ability in terms with the football. So, or do you want to go get like a Dan James or like the Theo Walcott type player? Because they're quick, but they have no end product. Give me end product over speed. Because if you went and got a Matheus Pereira and a Jack Harrison, those two combined would make up the same transfer fee Everton pay for Alex Iwobi.
Which is scary.
By the way, I can't see Cam because of his camera, but I heard a little.
I basically I looked down. I had a moment of sort of, oh my god, and then I just had to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you cry, don't you?
Yeah. Well, now when I say that, right, in terms of it, and people are like, oh, we don't want Pereira, like we want to go get better, but you're bringing in between them near on 20 goals.
Yeah.
Maybe altogether combined involvement is about 30.
Yeah.
Now bringing that into an Everton team where they're gonna and by the way, already proven in the league.
Yeah.
So that negates that. You're gonna bring him in and they cost the same as what an Alex Iwobi does. Plus as well bringing in a squad depth. Plus as well probably bring in sort of the insurances that Everton need now.
Yeah.
Everton aren't on the cusp of making Europe. Everton are on the cusp of dropping again.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Spot on.
That's what people have got to realise here. Everton aren't on like, oh, we're 2-3 signings away from champion. No, we're not. We're 2-3 bad signings away from being bottom half.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the points and things like that, you look at Leeds, Arsenal, Aston Villa behind us. They are on heels with far younger squads. Yeah. They are only going to get better.
Yeah.
Now, Everton, in my opinion, right now, just need assurances in attacking areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we take risks. Maybe we take one risk, but we've got to get assurances straight away, fully well knowing that, like a Matheus Pereira can play right wing and can play the 10.
Yeah.
Like Jack Harrison, who can play left mid, right mid, but also can create. Both of them can create. Both of them can score goals.
Absolutely.
So that's at this moment in time Everton need. And listen, they're not old. Matheus Pereira would cost around about 20 million.
Yeah.
He's 25. Jack Harrison, 24, 10 million. These if they produce what they produced at West Brom and Leeds for Everton are going to get that value back, no matter what.
No,
now they could cement you in that 7th, 8th position, but that's what Everton need now. Everton need to start building, start putting in foundations now, and start progressing, and start being the sort of how do they call it, like the best of the rest.
Yeah. Well, we need that consistency. I said this the other day, mate. If Everton were to finish in a European position this season, and don't get me wrong, Tottenham and West Ham could throw it, and we mathematically, I still think, could. It wouldn't mean we were a consistent European team. It would just mean we've gotten into Europe in a bad season because everybody else has dropped points. If we finish in the, and I don't think we will, by the way, I think the season's done now, but if we finish in the, let's say, Conference League, for an example, if somehow we manage to get in there, that doesn't mean that for the next 3 seasons Everton are a consistent challenger for Europe. That just means, luckily enough, everybody else has dropped points and we've ended up finishing in the Conference League. We could then go into next season, get knocked out of the Conference League in the group stages and then finish 8th, or go to the quarter-final, semi-final of the Conference League and finish 15th in the Premier League, or 13th, 12th in the Premier League. So, just because Everton, for me, it needs to be baby steps now. We can't go from being a mid-table Premier League club to the Champions League, consistent Champions League club. No, we can't go from that. Everton's next step is consistently in Europe, i.e. Europa League year in, year out, and then you take the step up to the Champions League and beyond. We're not in a position to just go from what we are now to all of a sudden comfortably in the top 4. It's not going to happen. Let me throw a couple of names at you though, mate, that have been brought up recently. been brought up a lot, and obviously the two very good young talented players that I know one of them we've mentioned on the channel before, me and you, both playing for the same club, coincidentally. Bayer Leverkusen wingers Moussa Diaby and obviously Leon Bailey. Moussa Diaby being linked with Everton this week, earlier on this week it was in Italian publication, I think, and obviously Leon Bailey's a player who a lot of Evertonians are excited about, and the potential of him coming in. They are two quick, young, athletic wingers who are involved in goals, assists, and ultimately would improve Everton. Both would cost significantly more than any of the other names that you've just mentioned, because obviously of them playing in Europe and them being in the German league and doing really well. Are either of those two names that you think Everton would be looking at, or do you think maybe it's similar to the Basuma situation, which we spoke about yesterday or a couple of days ago? They're just at that level now where it would cost far too much money and there's better alternatives.
Listen, if Leon Bailey and Moussa Diaby come into Everton, it'd be fantastic. I'm not going to say no, but how are Everton getting them?
Yeah.
How are Everton attracting them players?
Yeah.
People think Everton are like this big, fantastic glory. In Liverpool, they are.
Yeah.
Outside of Liverpool, they're not.
Yeah.
No one knows. People got to realise, right? In the last 6 or so years, Everton have finished mid-table.
Yeah.
Maybe top half, but top half in the sense of the highest position has been 7th.
Yeah.
Now, when we go, but we're still a big club. Yeah, we are to us. But over a 6-year period, to other clubs and to other fans, we're not a threat. Like to sort of players like a Moussa Diaby and a Leon Bailey. Listen, they'd be fantastic, but they've already made that Everton step to Leverkusen.
Yeah,
Leverkusen are probably what Everton. Well, they're probably a little bit ahead in terms of to get Europe and all things like that. Yeah. But they're probably similar in terms of Everton have got to go get that Moussa Diaby before he makes that move.
Yeah.
Everton have got to be, and I hate to say it, Everton have got to be the stepping stone.
Yeah.
Everton have got to go get a Moussa Diaby, develop him. And if Moussa Diaby goes and gets 4 goals and his assist rate is just insane, there's already talk about Moussa Diaby now going to Manchester United and things like that. Once them clubs start picking out players like Moussa Diaby, Everton have no chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Manchester United will go put a 45, and it's probably being touted, 45 million for Moussa Diaby. Like, Everton cannot afford to go pay or spend 45 million on one player while we've got so many other holes needed to fill.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, if Everton went and got a Max Aarons, a Moussa Diaby, right, you're talking, what, maybe 70 million for both?
Yeah.
That's 2 positions. That is so reckless for me. It's unbelievable.
And we'd also need to sell players for considerable amounts of money in order to comply with financial fair play. And
your Moise Keane and your Moise Keane money gone.
Yeah.
That's gone there. Like, everyone assumes that they're going to get 50 million for him. They're not. They'll probably get 35 million tops for him. Because PSG have got leverage. No one else is in for Moise Keane. So then you say, right, double that. So that's like, around what's the 67 million pound. So what then? So then you've got to try and shuffle around, like, right, we've got to go get rid of Mason Holgate. Like them, it's just, it's a bit reckless for me. And I totally understand. These are the players and the profiles that I want Everton to be linked with, and I want them to go with. But at this current moment in time, Everton haven't got a squad to facilitate a player like a Moussa Diaby or a Leon Bailey, because you're not going to get the best out of them when you've got Seamus Coleman, 32, playing there.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen. It's far too reckless. And like you say with Leon Bailey, it's the most laughable thing with Leon Bailey. Everton got offered Leon Bailey last summer for 20 million. Said no. Now they're deciding to go for him. This is what I'm saying with this club. It's just a farce.
Yeah, it is.
He did have a bit of a stumbling block year, as in terms of inconsistency. But you're going to get that with 21, 22-year-olds, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, this season, He scored 9 goals, 9 assists. He's back into the rhythm of what you think. But the Manchester United's, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool went and got Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
He fits that mould of what Jurgen Klopp wants. Now, their goalie's scoring goals now. So that obviously means to me they're getting Champions League.
Yeah.
Right. So when Liverpool's goalies start scoring,
luckiest team in the world, by the way.
Oh, they're just. But, and I'll give credit where it's credit's due. The attitude difference from Everton's squad to Liverpool's squad.
Yeah.
They've just. It's not luck when they consistently do it.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's what Ped said in his instant match reaction to last night. He said everyone's going on about them and them lot and their goalie scoring. That's what they do, and this is what we do.
Yeah,
and
it couldn't be any more right. We fall apart. We get to that point where it's like lads, final, by the way, go win it, crumble.
Yeah,
that's what Everton have always, in my lifetime anyway.
Yeah,
I've never felt success at Everton. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of having the likes of Leon Bailey and even, listen, they were looking at him when he was at Belgium, never pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. In terms of Leicester and the Leon Bailey and the Moussa Diaby thing is, if I can put it into some comparison, Leon Bailey at Genk, whichever one he was at, is like Leicester now with like your Boubacar Samaris.
Yeah.
Your Leon Bailey's at Bayern Leverkusen's is what Liverpool did with your Mo Salahs and things like that. But they were in the European positions when they did that.
Yeah.
The Leon Baileys of this world, you go get them when you're 6, when you can afford to go, right, this is our project. Look what we're doing. We've got Carlo, Ancelotti. We're in Europe.
Yeah.
Everton at this moment in time have got to go be very clever and start finding out a lot more and take higher risks in terms of, like I mentioned there, you Ludovic Class, onto another one. Like if you're going to take a risk, like a Calvin Stengs from AZ Alkmaar, you've got to start looking at these players and thinking, and start projecting, well, is he a Champions League player? Maybe not. But is he going to be a top 5, top 6 player? Possibly.
Yeah.
So they've got to go take that risk. They have to. I would much rather them take a risk on a Ludovic Blas, a Calvin Stengs, even like the lad at Ajax who we've been continuously David Neres.
Yeah.
You've got to go take calculated risks like that. Just to listen, they might not work, but at least we stick to a strategy.
Yeah.
We might come 12th for 3 years, but then once we hit that 7th, and you think, hold on a minute, this team's quite young and they're doing this now.
Yeah.
Everton have got to get to that point. We can't keep continually going down this line of 28, 27-year-olds coming in for 100 grand a week wages and just throwing away 20, 30 million on them. It hasn't worked. We've got 6 years of work now of that strategy. It does not work.
Yeah.
We need to rip it up and start getting into the modern day with stats and things like that. I know people don't like things like that, but that's where football's gone and going. If you don't start conforming to that,
you get left behind.
You get left behind, and that's just. Listen, Everton's recruitment staff have got everything in the power and are probably absolutely brilliant at the job and are bringing up these players each time. But like we've both said, it's all about who says yes and who says no.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. I think you're spot on there, and I think you brought up a really interesting side of the argument for the likes of Leon Bailey and Diaby is that you're right. These are players that will look at Everton and think, well, I'm currently at Bayer Leverkusen here. My next step, I want to be to, a team that are consistently challenging in the Champions League, a team that are consistently challenging for titles, not a team that, may be there in 3 or 4 years. So, no, I understand it completely, and I think it's a brilliant point. Like you said, if we could get either of those 2 players, perfect, brilliant, absolutely amazing. But you raised a brilliant point there. The type of players you get before they take that step to Bayer Leverkusen rather than after.
Like I would not be shocked in no way about it, right? If Jadon Sancho goes to Manchester United, Dortmund go sign Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
It's glaring.
Yeah.
It just seems so obvious for them, and they just so like Dortmund have just become this so nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, like for example, Jadon Sancho, young, hungry English lad. Dortmund paid 8 million for him, took the risk. Look what he is now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
and they've done the same with Jude Bellingham as well.
Even so, Everton were in for Jude Bellingham. A lot of clubs were in for Jude Bellingham, but Dortmund gave him guarantees that he would be a part of the first team and guaranteed him that he would play.
Yeah.
And look what happened. Look what happened there. But they've got a team in place to develop these players.
Yeah.
Like Dortmund haven't got every single position and they're all 18.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've got Marco Reus, you've got Hummel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got Delaney, you got like Axel Witsel, you know what I mean? You've got all these professional age profile players who are gonna keep Dortmund there. And then listen, the one that they've just took an absolute are gonna take a windfall on is Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's how you do it. And in the modern day now, unfortunately, this is how you approach to progress.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
You've got to sell to buy. FFP, unfortunately, is there. Hopefully it gets absolutely scrapped and bingoed. But also you got to realise is that everyone else can then
spend
freely.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22 really in that sense. But listen, let's just hope that Everton do pull the finger out and start surprising us a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised. Like your Decore's and that were very good, but like you need to start sort of giving that bit of what vavavoom sort of style, don't you? And you think, hold on a minute, I like that. Like even if they sign Matheus Pereira and Jack Harrison, if they get you to, like I say, the Conference League, which I'll be honest, I'm so against. Like it's just such a hindrance. Like it's just another money grab from UEFA. How you do a Conference League and then what you win a place in the Europa League. I mean, do me a favour. It's just
nonsense,
when's that going to play, by the way?
Which the Conference League?
Yeah, on a Friday. You've got Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What more?
Yeah.
It's just
Saturday morning
constant football. Yeah, it's just constant football, isn't it? Like
it's constant money making schemes, like you said.
Exactly, and I wouldn't want no part of the Conference League because I feel this squad, especially with the injuries that sort of, especially from important players, you got to realise this is that we've had a lot of injuries and they're not getting any younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of that Conference League, I think it'd be a very big hindrance on Everton.
Absolutely, I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on. And in regards to forwards that could leave the club, I think, look, I know Richarlison's had a frustrating year, and I've seen a few people on social media over the last 24 hours or so saying if you get a decent bid, sell him, this, that and the other. I don't think you're going to get a bid that's large enough for Everton to say, yeah, you know what, we'll take that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's had a great season. He's progressed brilliantly. And the good thing about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, well, two good things about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. One, Tom alluded to before, is that he is where he is because of his attitude, because of his mentality, because he wants to be there, he wants to improve. And secondly, he's not the finished article. He can improve, he can get better, he can work on his one-on-ones, he can work on his composure in front of goal. So I think Dom and Richarlison will be here next season, and arguably rightly so. I know some people mightn't agree with the Richarlison statement, but you know, I think he'll be here next season.
Yeah, I can. I'll ask you a question. Can Everton afford to lose Richarlison?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Not unless we replace him with
who?
Goals, and that's the point. Yeah, you know, who we bringing in that replaces that.
Everyone will say Leon Bailey. We just discussed that.
Yeah.
You know what? Like so we're then going to chase Leon Bailey all season like we did Giroud and things like that, and end up with no one.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what I mean? Everton got to be quick, precise, and clinical in this transfer window, Mark.
That's it.
It can't be no. And listen, Richarlison's. Listen to me. I think he's just had a good season like he did last season. But what you got to take with Richarlison is that lad has played football consistently through the summer now for years now.
Yeah.
Like non-stop.
Yeah.
Like before the pandemic, he was with Brazil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Before that, he come from Brazil. Brazil's league, went into Watford, and then went straight to Brazil, and then played for Everton.
Yeah.
So he needs a rest, and even so, I think we had a conversation in December. You know, the lad was getting knocked out pillar to post. He nearly got put out.
Yeah. Concussed,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got concussed. Even before that, he was struggling with injuries. He had a wrist injury. It's just been a bit of a mad season for Richarlison.
Yeah.
And listen, I know, I understand his attitude, his head down, and he's a bit of a baby sometimes, and I get that, but that's sort of, to me, like, he wants to just prove what he is, and he wants to be top player. So,
yeah.
Listen, Everton can't afford to. Listen, it's just nonsense talk, getting rid of Richarlison. Everton can't. If Everton finished 10th, right, which could potentially be likely,
yeah.
right, how on earth could they get rid of Richarlison?
That's it.
It's just, Everton can't even afford to lose one goal, let alone 6.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, like, he scored 3 in the Carabao Cup and he scored 3 in the FA Cup, and it hasn't been in the league. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, he'll come again, Richarlison, he'll come again.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'd much rather get rid of your Kings, Bernards, and if it was going to be either Richarlison or Wobie, obviously it's going to be a Wobie.
Yeah. So in that, then, I think we're all in agreement. I think everyone will be in agreement. King won't be an Everton player next summer. I really
you're hoping not, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's it. And to be fair, I think when you're playing Aston Villa in what's a crucial game that you need to win for your fight for Europe, and Andre Gomez is coming off the bench before you, there's not much going for you. I don't think Bernard will be here next season. Moise Keane, I think, will leave and we'll make some money back on him, and it will be a shrewd bit of business. Iwobi is another sort of one that falls into the bracket of maybe your Gomez and your Delphs as to that. Who is going to want to come and give us a significant amount for Iwobi? I mean, Iwobi is a tricky one. Would you keep him? Would you sell him? Or do you sort of just think we're not going to have a choice because nobody's going to come in and bid the money that we would want for Alex Iwobi?
I mean, if you took his contract in consideration, he's got a long contract. He's young. He's 24.
Yeah.
He hasn't really fitted in well, but there hasn't really been a role for him to fit. He's plugged the gap at right mid, but we all know he's not that right midfielder.
No.
He's been given chances sparingly at number 10. I think he's done well. I put a tweet out a few months ago, didn't I? Where sort of I thought he had a good game, and the agenda's coming out and trying to scapegoat. I think he's a bit of an scapegoat, really, Iwobi. Listen, he needs to improve. 100% needs to improve. Yeah. He has to. He has to if he's going to stay at Everton. But why get rid of a 24-year-old who, in my opinion, and probably many others or might disagree, who still can do a job for Everton at that left-hand side and as the number 10. Listen, we all know he's a progressive runner with the ball, and he can break through lines, and he's got the ability to play jump through. I mean, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a better touch in some cases, Iwobi would be hitting quite decent assists wise. I mean, obviously he's got to start scoring, but I'll start judging properly, and I'll be very critical of him when he gets his opportunity in the 10 or the left mid role. And I'll be honest with you, if you took a 24-year-old who still, in my opinion, has got the potential to be a good Premier League player, or a Gylfi Sigurdsson who's got 1 year left on his contract, who's 32, who's got on high wages, I'd get rid of Gylfi Sigurdsson.
There you go. Fair enough.
That's just the way it is, isn't it? I mean, it's just you've got
financially that would be
100. It works financially, better. Right? But then, in terms of what Gylfi Sigurdsson brings to the team, he scored 6 goals and 4 assists. I think about 3 or 4 of them have been penalties.
Yeah.
You know, it's time to move away from Gylfi Sigurdsson's and Andre Gomez's.
Yeah.
We have to. Yeah. We have to start moving away. I mean, I think you want a backup striker, don't you?
Well, there's a name in my mind that I'm going to throw at you that I think is being named, and you mentioned penalty goals.
Don't say Haaland.
No, it's no. It was Mbappe. No, when he messing. Yeah, this lad has scored a lot of penalty goals and would certainly replace that if Gylfi was to leave. He'd replace that ability to take a penalty. I think he's just broken the record for goals in the Championship. Obviously, Brentford's Ivan Toney, 25 years old, very highly rated. Again, playing in the Championship, could be playing in the Premier League next year with Brentford as well. He's a name that Everton have been linked with. You mentioned about us not necessarily needing a backup striker, and I do sort of see where you come from, and I agree as well. I think if you can get two competent wingers that score goals, assists, create chances, are fast, are physical, suit the league, then I think that sort of does make up for your backup striker. You can then have your Richarlison who's there. Obviously we already know Josh King will go. Well, assuming Josh King will go, Moise Kean will go. What do you make of Ivan Toney and the rumours regarding him? Do you like him? Do you think he'd come into Everton? Again, me big worry with Ivan Toney is he'd cost a hell of a lot of money, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think it's heading towards that Ollie Watkins price, isn't it? And the Ben Rama, I think. Like, again, another fantastic club who's stuck to a recruitment strategy, and now their players have become a premium and they haven't even been promoted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy how quickly a recruitment strategy and how things can put your club in place for more and more success. I mean, how well they'll do in terms of Premier League, who knows? But we might see that next year. Ivan Toney, he's brilliant. He's very, very good, very good striker. What would you do then? Would you pay the 30 odd million for Ivan Toney and then have Calvert-Lewin who's starting,
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You then, I think, looking at maybe a two up front with Toney and Calvert-Lewin, and then maybe Richarlison playing on one of the wings with a new winger coming in and playing on the other side. But
I mean, he's a cracking player, but when you say backup, like, would Everton just go pay 30 million for him?
He wouldn't be a backup, he'd be a starter week in, week out, which is, I think.
So then you'd be probably looking at a 4-4-2.
Yeah, probably.
Charles on either left or right, and then you've got Decore and Allen in the middle. That's probably what you'd probably see, wouldn't you? You probably might see then James Rodriguez interchanging from the left or right, and then obviously with a new right mid. Yeah, maybe it would work if Ancelotti wants to go down that route. Then it's down to him how he wants to set the team up. But for me personally, I just see that and think, you're taking what if we put a thingy on it, it's going to be about 30 million, isn't it? Yeah. So let's just say 30 million. If I give you a choice of Ivan Toney or Jack Harrison and Matheus Pereira for that same price, what would you take?
Jack Harrison and Matheus Pereira.
There you go. That's cancelled that argument. So should we move on?
I think we. Yeah, I think wingers are obviously more of a necessity than centre forwards.
I don't think people realise how bad we are with wingers and centre halves as well.
Yeah.
I think everyone goes right back, and then they're like, right, where else? Right, striker. Like, we are woeful at centre half and at wingers.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, if you could, if you took out, say for example, if you classed Richarlison as a forward, as a striker, and you put James Rodriguez on at 10, how many goals have our wingers scored?
None. Iwobi scored one against Wolves, and Bernard scored a couple he scored one in the cup, didn't he, against Tottenham?
So what I mean, yeah, I'm with ninth, and I know Ancelotti gets a lot of stick, but this squad is woeful, mate.
Yeah.
It's the plasters are falling off rapidly.
Yeah.
And I used to get absolute pelters for ripping this team and saying he was bad. Listen, Bernard 2 years ago, everyone was raving about him. I was like, he's crap.
Yeah.
Like, I used to go into not going, sorry, on the Toffee TV things and listen, Baz and Ped used to love Bernard, and I used to say, get rid of him.
Yeah.
And they were like, Bernard, get rid. But I just seen it. He was woeful.
Yeah.
He there was no end product for it. So in terms of going for a forward, me personally, I'd rather see Richarlison there.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give Calvert-Lewin a rest, put Richarlison up front.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give Richarlison a rest, then you've got your two wingers. Then it's all about squad depth for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I want. I just want squad depth. If you took out a Bernard and a Wobie, a Bernard, a King, and replaced them with Matheus Pereira and a Jack Harrison on the bench,
yeah,
then you're starting to see more squad depth, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's the key. We're not at the level just yet to then go get a Leon Bailey type.
Yeah.
If you went and got Jack Harrison or a Matheus Pereira, both of them for that this season with low cost, low value, but then next season you went, right, let's go get a Leon Bailey. Imagine you'd had Leon Bailey and then Jack Harrison and Matheus Pereira.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts adding up in your head, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What about Rafinha from Leeds? Throw him out there.
Yeah, I mean he's 50, 60 million now, isn't he? That's what I'm saying. He was at Rennes.
Yeah.
Another player Everton looked at and never went for. You know what I mean?
God, this list keeps on growing, and I'm getting more and more upset by the minute. I'll be in tears in about 5 minutes.
Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Everton need to start taking them calculated risks, don't they?
Yeah.
Like a Rafinha, everyone's seen it. Everyone's seen like the potential in him, and you think, I think Leeds only paid like 20 million for him.
22, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah, now he's a £50 million player. Like Everton, like as much as people don't want to hear it, Everton need to start adding assets.
Yeah.
Because once you get past Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison,
and
the
Dean.
asset well, I don't even think personally you would make much money on Luka Dean now.
Yeah.
Because he's 20. What is he? 27, 28.
Yeah, I think he's 27. Yeah.
I mean, you talk who Man City aren't gonna go buy a Luka Dean. They don't buy like that. Manchester United won't because they got Luke Shaw. I'm looking at PSG. You're probably putting your hopes on PSG to come in with like a 30, 40 million pound bid for a 28-year-old Luka Dean, which obviously we're not saying this season.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you're looking at and how I sort of value players, you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably top. You've got then it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, 16 goals a season, whether you like it or not, in the Premier League and English.
Yeah.
But I would be very surprised the way Manchester United do their recruitment. They're not sniffing around him very soon.
Yeah.
Then you've got Richarlison, who's probably a little bit lower in value now over this season. Trying to rattle my brain. And then you've got
Ben Godfrey.
And then who?
Me. That's it.
Am I ruining your day?
That's it. It's literally, it is though, isn't it? It's Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, and Ben Godfrey, and then
I don't know whether you're crying down my ears or like it's like a jovial laugh sometimes.
It's I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
When we have these videos and then when we like proper sit down and break it down,
it's worrying.
It's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like your Everton rose tinted glasses starts clearing.
Yeah.
Like your partisan shit with the club needs to get separated, and that's how I do it. You take away the fan out of it, and then you just look at Everton basic as how you would approach it with recruitment and how they are as a football team and how they're going to make money.
Yeah.
And how Everton are going to progress in an FFP world where they've only got 3. Ultimately, what? Like, if you want to put a price on them, what? You probably get a Richarlison now, 50.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin probably 60 in this climate, around that. And then a Godfrey, 35, 40.
Yeah, it's
it's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And they're your three. They're your 3 there that you think, well, we can't even afford to lose them.
Yeah.
Now this is the issue where Everton have got. Now they're trying to look for value in Alex Iwobi, Tom Davis, Mason Holgate, Andre Gomez, Fabian Delph, and there's not a lot of clubs that will pay the value that you would want
for those players,
or to recoup anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is where, and it all boils down to, and it comes full circle, short-term recruitments and short-term thoughts and process at this football club.
And that all needs to change, and hopefully, you know, some of the names that Tom's just mentioned there that we've spoke about, hopefully they're on Marcel Brands' list. And look, like Tom said before, it's all well and good being on Marcel Brands' list. It's all well and good being on the list of the recruitment team. It's about if whoever's making the decisions, you know, says, yeah, go for that. Because it could easily turn out like we've got all of these brilliant young players on this list, and then someone at the top goes, no, I want Gareth Bale because he's boss and he'll sell loads of shirts. And then we'd end up in the same situation next year.
Would he sell loads of shirts?
He'd sell branded golf clubs, wouldn't he, with an Everton badge on or something?
But as well, though, Cam, that I think Everton have got away from over the years, and it was probably quite vital to some cases, the loan market.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, look at the loan market. Lukaku coming on loan. You know, we had Gareth Barry on loan initially. You know, I think Arteta was a loaner first. Pina. Yeah. So,
it's there. We've negated what we were good at.
Yeah.
For just this snobbery.
Well, that's it. We've tried to become them, haven't we? And we're not. Yeah, and it's a ladder. It's not just a jump.
It's a club in 2021 working as a 2004 club. That's the way I see it. They're looking at players and they're thinking, yeah, just go get him. He's brilliant. He's a name. That's just the way I see it now. And let's hope they have some cojones and some bollocks to just go out and go, right, this is our system and this is our plan for the next 3 years.
Yeah. And this is
give me that and don't give me this nonsense Champions League and sort of put like a glittery Bramley Moore in my face to distract what's going on the pitch. Because I think that with fans sort of sidetracks them from actually criticising Mashiri and the way he's been the last 6 years. Like, it's all well and good us all getting a brilliant day. It's fantastic for the city. It's brilliant for Everton. It's brilliant for us. But we're all going to be moaning it at the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same team you're watching.
If you change Goodison Park for Bramley Moore, you will walk out and you will do this video like we are, and you will say they are crap.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
You've got to start implementing things now.
That's it.
Before you get to Bramley Moore.
That was about exactly what I was about to say. We're now, with all the planning permission and everything, it's 3-4 years away from Bramley Moore, and that should be the target. It should be, right, we're going to implement the right structures, the right strategies, the right mentality, so that when we get there, we're watching a fantastic Everton team that can compete, because you ultimately, you're spot on. I suppose that's now an aim, isn't it?
Yeah, well, could you imagine Everton, with the backing that they've got, taking like sort of a squad like Tottenham had? I think Tottenham just went to that stadium a little bit too late with that squad.
Yeah.
Could you imagine them going with the Leicester team into a brand new stadium? And it just gives everything a lift, doesn't it? It'd be magnificent. And listen, Mashiri's not shy with his checkbook.
Yeah.
But if this continues, believe me, he will start getting a bit shy with it.
Yeah.
Because you can't continuously pumping what's he on now? 400 to 500 million.
Yeah, $500 million.
It's insane, isn't it?
That's it, and that just emphasises the importance of changing the recruitment strategy and getting it right, not just this summer, because you know the world isn't going to change this summer. It'll be next summer, it'll be the summer after, it'll be the January's in between. And as Tom said, you know, you're absolutely spot on. Something needs to change at this football club now, because it's not working at the moment, and you can see that on the pitch. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Tom, massive thanks for coming on and doing these videos with us. Have you got anything to touch on, to finish up on before we finish this one off?
No, appreciate you having me on. Yes, it's great. We like these videos, don't we?
Yeah, boss.
You know what I mean? They are great. Let's just hope the step up to the mark, Everton, and sort of change this sort of approach that they've inherited over the last 6 or so years. And let's hope they can kick on, and let's start seeing some excitement now. And
that's it.
Let's not just go into another season where we're looking at like old players just kicking a ball around who can't run.
Who don't care. Yeah.
Who don't care. Who genuinely don't care. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, that's it, and that's why we need young, hungry players. We've said it for a while now. Get the players in who are coming in with a point to prove, maybe a bit of a chip on the shoulder, and say, right, if you do well at Everton, not only will we benefit off it, but you'll benefit off it because you might get a move to X, Y, and Z. I've got no issue with Everton being a stepping stone club. If we're going to be a stepping stone club like Leicester and win an FA Cup and a league in 5 years, then make me that stepping stone club all day long. No issue with that whatsoever. Massive thanks to Tom. Of course, you can check out Tom's Twitter in the description down below. Go and give him a follow. Tom's also going to be starting a new podcast over the next couple of weeks or so don't forget to follow him on Twitter to keep up to date with all of that. Listen to the podcast when it comes out, support it, subscribe, follow it, share it, all of that good stuff. I can't wait to give it a listen as well. Massive thanks to everybody for watching. If you've got any thoughts, comments, leave them in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed this one, please do give it a like as well and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'll be back shortly with another video. I'm sure we'll be talking more about Everton's recruitment over the next few weeks and months or so look forward to that one. But a big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.